What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Draft Duel, the weekly. Or I say weekly. Apologise that there's not been a draft duel for a couple of weeks due to logistical issues, but we're back and we have another draft duel for you today, and it's looking to be a pretty tasty game against two titanous veterans of the game. But before we get there, before we get to the excitement, before we climb to the top of that hill and stick a flag in it and say that it is a great game in Legacy Allure, let's introduce you to the wonderful Mr. Rabo. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful today, and we were off for a couple weeks, but that just means the game today is going to be all that sweeter. When it comes to drafting, we've got two deck building masterminds with us today. We've got Dex and we've got Laro, and if there's two guys that know their fundamentals, it's them. Previous tournament winners. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they have got cooking for us.
What's there not to be excited about? So this is a full traditional draft, 160 gold draft mode. And yeah, I think we've kind of done all the I think we've done all the hospitality stuff, shall we say. I think it's time just to go down to the nitty and gritty and enjoy the whole reason we're here. Some draft Legacy Allure. So catch you guys on the battlefield. Okay, we are now into the drafting phase. You can see the guys are rolling first, which is very important to see who goes first, meaning who positions or drafts their cards first. And we can see the Gaff, who I'm pretty sure Mr. Robo in a minute is going to tell me who's playing Gaff, is going first, and Sylvan is going second.
Yep, so on the blue side, we have Laro. He is taking control of Gath with a Kaar'thul hero. And on the red side, we have Dex. He's going to be playing Anwyn. Again for us today, if you watched the Blitz Brawl video that we posted on Thursday, Dex was playing Anwyn, so we might be seeing Anwyn show up as Dex's kind of favorite hero, his signature hero moving forward. Regardless, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dex brings to the table for us today. These two guys already drafting against each other. But before I talk about what their builds are, I really want to talk about the headspace that you have to go into, even just figuring out who's the attacker and who's the defender. It's the only random element of this game, and it actually kind of affects a lot, right? Because when you're the attacker, your win condition is capturing the golden hex in the middle. And when you're the defender, your win condition is keeping your opponent away from it. Drafting first might seem like a downside, but when you are the attacker, you not only draft first, but you get the first move of the game in round one, which can be huge. It lets you set up your combos first, or perhaps even take an important piece off your opponent's board if you caught them in a draft trap. Going second as the defender not only gives you an easier win condition, but letting you draft second lets you see sort of what your opponent's going for early and maybe bait them into revealing information they didn't want to.
Yep. Indeed. Especially when you're looking at such high-level players these guys offer, right? It's it's those tiny little decisions or tiny adjustments that you need to make that can then min-max your kingdom, your playstyle, your win cons, anything like that. And we can see some absolute massive units being thrown down. Like, no one's holding back here. No one's playing intensive here. We've got gold galore showering down on this battlefield right now.
Yeah, that's... I was just going to say that. I was like, speaking of high level, these players are not afraid to put some big units on the board. We've got the most expensive unit in the game, Black Dragon, showing up on Laro's board. This thing is 16 gold and worth every single penny. Flame Sweep is an ability that lets Black Dragon move in and breathe fire, dealing magical damage to 3 units adjacent to it. Really strong ability to top it off some of the biggest stats in the game: 5 power, 4 movement, and 10 health.
Yep.
And then over on Dex's side, he drafted 2 Bull Elks. These things have 3 movement and 4 power, not to mention both charging and steadfast, giving them a great balance of aggressive and defensive keywords.
Yeah, I feel like Bullock's a great card against Gaff, because Gaff have so many charging units, right? They have so many units, even the small units that can just running and deal damage. And I feel like the Steadfast is a really solid keyword to help prevent that.
Yeah, absolutely. Gath is a very aggressive playstyle, and we can actually see that in Laro's hero, Kaar'thul. Kaar'thul is the #1 damage-dealing spellcaster in the entire game, units and heroes combined. And yeah, absolutely 100%. That is what Laro's bringing to the table. Chain Lightning 3 allows him to deal 4, then 3, then 2, then 1 magic damage to 4 units within its cast range. And Isbek's staff increases his spell power by 1. So he can deal an additional damage when he pulls off that Chain Lightning to one of those units he targets.
Yeah. Not all of them,
That
we should say. It's not
Mm.
5, 4, 3, 2, because that would be bonkers. So,
Exactly. It does not stack. You only get to pick one. But that is still enough to basically clean off a fourth of Dex's army if he's not careful. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, and we're seeing the Weexton's Wizard gear for Kaar'thul as well.
This thing's
Man, Laro is
expensive.
not afraid to go big or go home.
No, I mean 7 gold, which is putting it at the very high end of the item shop. +1 mana, +1 cast range, and 1 mana regen. I mean, it all sounds okay. That's all right. You add it to a hero like Kaar'thul, that is an appetite for destruction right there.
Yeah, this... Wow. I mean, Sylvan's going to have a bit of a problem here, and this is part of the thing that we like to see in draft, right? Like, if you look over at Laro's list, he has a lot of options and a lot of smaller ways that he could go with Kaar'thul. He could have just grabbed the Arcane Stone and, like, Lightning Bolt 3, right? And that right there is a solid magic damage hero. But he saw he was fighting Sylvan. And against Sylvan, area of effect damage and big units are hard for that faction to deal with, so that's what he decided to go for.
Yep.
And to try and help counteract this, we are seeing Dex pull out Deepwood Mystic and a healing spell on Anwyn. So the idea is that Dex is going to take damage spread out across his units and then heal it off, because Deepwood Mystic can spread her healing between 2 allied units. And that, I think, is what he's looking for to help counteract all of this spreading damage from Kaar'thul and from Black Dragon.
Yeah, indeed. And as we've seen in previous weeks, as you mentioned earlier, in the Blitz Brawl that happened most recently, Dex is a master at piloting the intricacies and the complex maneuverability of the Sylvan army. Very few people do it well, and that's no disrespect to them. I would say if you had to kind of grade the starter sets, the Arengard, the Gaff, or the Sylvan are probably the most complex to play because they're a little bit more squishier, but they have so much flanking and maneuver abilities. Dex is an absolute master at exploiting all those abilities.
I completely agree, and that's actually giving you a little bit of a peek on the production end. That's why in the starter set, we give players an Arengard kingdom and a Gath kingdom. Because those are a lot more straightforward, with Arengard being much more mid-range and toolbox, and Gath being the straightforward, aggressive faction. And again, there's nothing wrong with playing those factions. Those are excellent factions. But Sylvan is definitely the most technical faction out there, and that's why we kept it essentially as expansion content.
Yeah, indeed.
So a little bit behind the scenes, we really do think through every little detail when it comes to the product design of Legacy's Allure to make sure that the gameplay experience is as high quality as it possibly can be.
Indeed. So, the kingdoms are not fully drafted yet, but they are getting close to being drafted up now. How's it looking? Break down what's on the board so far and how you see this one currently going. I mean, Dex has committed a lot of his gold now. So how do you think Dex is going to be kind of playing out here?
So Dex actually has his full 80 on the board, so we can analyze his list. And honestly, I'm liking what he's going for. He's got a lot of backstab, and what backstab does is it essentially counteracts those high power numbers that Laro brought, because backstab prevents retaliation. So he can move in, he can stab something with 6 power or 5 power and not feel the burn for it. And then he took Thorn Elemental late in the game. And Thorn Elemental has spell proof, which means that Kaar'thul can't affect Thorn Elemental at all. That is a very wise decision. This is a bulky unit that can take hits from Crag Behemoth and Black Dragon while still being left alive. And Kaar'thul cannot affect it with any abilities whatsoever. Super smart pick. I think Thorn Elemental is going to be the linchpin in how Dex wins this game.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. And Thorn Elemental is another one of those cards, kind of not harking back too much on, Sylvan are really tricky to play, but it's a perfect example. Because it has big stat lines. Like, okay, 4 damage, good, big. 7 health, big. But 1 movement. The way you manage, the way you position, the way you deal with Thorn Elemental on your side is so pivotal. One wrong movement or 1 wrong positioning, and it can really cost you because it only has that 1 movement to effectively escape. It has 0 mobility, right?
Exactly. So if Thorn Elemental gets into trouble, it might be stuck there, but that's where Deepwood Sentinel comes in. Sylvan has the maneuverability, which lets them swap the positions of their units. And so Deepwood Sentinel can help Thorn Elemental get out of there in a pinch.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Okay, so drafting is done. And we see Crag Behemoth getting so aggressive on that center hex. It knocked the shield die off of the center hex as well. Gladehawk coming in there for the early pick on the Goblin Bombardier. Do you like that play?
I really do. I mean, that's what Gladehawk's for. And this is why I say Gladehawk's one of the best cards in the game. Because if your opponent's not careful, it can swoop in and snipe pieces very quickly and take out actions.
Another Gladehawk coming in as well. Saying, hey, here's a pair of Bombardiers.
And that is exactly what Dex has done. This is going to be a little bit tricky for our friend Laro, but he does have a Crag Behemoth in the center hex, and with 12 health and Steadfast, that might just be tricky. That might just be tricky for Dex to deal with. I'm looking forward to seeing what his plan is. Both players taking kind of an aggressive stance, right? Sylvan with the 2 Bull Elks, it's going to be able to get in there and tussle with this aggressive Gath list. So we are going to see a very explosive game of Legacy's Allure.
Indeed. Now, you said, obviously, Crag Behemoth, Steadfast, pretty scary. 12 health, pretty scary. 6 attack as well. 6 attack, one of the highest attack stat lines in the game. Is even more terrifying. So, yeah, that's where backstab's going to be absolute key, right? And we see the other Gladehawk there being taken by the Spike Collar Hound as well. Both Gladehawks doing their job diligently, right? Getting in there, taking the Bombardiers, taking Action Economy, and now they're off for an early shower.
Yeah, Gladehawk is generally a piece that you just draft planning to trade with it early on. The longer Gladehawk stays on the board, in my opinion, the worse it gets. I want to get these things... I want to get my value out of my Hawks as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah, which makes absolute complete sense. So yeah, we saw a very fast exchange of plays there, very fast exchange of taking of gold and taking of units. Now we kind of see that dust settle again right now, and it's that we've said it many times on these games, that real thinking process, that kind of slow, methodical thinking process. Then there'll be another flurry of punches and another slow thinking process.
And I'm gonna be honest right now. I'm seeing a potential issue for the Sylvan player Dex, because Gath has 2 Troll Doctors, and when there's 2 healers on the board, you can't just willy-nilly deal damage to enemy units, or the Doctors will just heal it off, and then you're in big trouble. So you really have to try and one-shot any enemy pieces that you can with these Troll Doctors hanging about.
Indeed, yeah. The double healing on such high health units is really hard. I mean, we said it again many times. Sylvan don't have the highest damage output. They are all about making you play in positions you don't want to be in, right? Forcing you to play ways you don't want to play, breaking your playstyle over, hey, I'm going to do big damage to you. So
Exactly.
So they don't, when there's high stat lines and there is lots of healing to sustain those high stat lines, they can struggle. They really require five-headed plays to really kind of manipulate and force your opponent out of situations they don't want to be in.
Yeah, but you know what I'm kind of saying? We were just talking about the technical elements of Sylvan, but right now I'm thinking Bull Elk can just run in there, kill that Goblin Lackey, go Oonga Boonga, and I don't know what Gath really has to deal with that right now.
No.
Crag Behemoth's tapped out. Black Dragon can only Flame Sweep for 2 damage. They're going to be relying on Kaar'thul's Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt. And at that point, Kaar'thul's just losing mana. And if I was Sylvan, I think I might be okay with that.
Well, we have double healing as well, right? On Dex side with Anwyn, because Anwyn has healing, and obviously the deep with Mystic as well. Do you feel like so when I was kind of getting into Legacy Allure, one of my big pieces of advice I had was ignore the big units until later on in the game. Clear the other units. Take what you can. Do you think Dex is going to be doing exactly that? Moving around the edges, on the fringes, taking the smaller units, and then looking to just sheer overpower by numbers on the Black Dragon and the Crag Behemoth.
I really do think that's the path forward for Dex here, especially since that's not only good advice for Legacy's Allure in general, but it's especially good advice if you're a Sylvan player, as Sylvans have the best flankers in the game. They're all about taking their hunters, their glade hawks, and even their archers in many instances and moving them around the edges of the board, and then coming in at the end of the round and stabbing the opponent in the back with their backstab keyword.
Yeah.
And winning the game that way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. So it's very interesting to see how Dex plays this, but like you said, it's kind of almost setting up that already, right? Because Gaff are already kind of right there. We see Bullet coming in. Almost, do you think, baiting an attack from the Black Dragon? Saying, hey, just attack me. Just attack me for 5. I've got healing. You're going to do 4 damage back to yourself. And it also stops the Black Dragon coming in and doing big damage. Oh, we see the Lackey coming in now. 1 health is horrible because it means Dex has to overheal, right? Oh, we see the shield coming in.
Yep, and the thing that was really scary about that is that if Bull Elk winds up with only having 5 health left, Black Dragon can take it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be a problem. I was more in favor of the Bull Elk charging in play when Black Dragon wasn't going to be, directly next to it. But maybe Dex is seeing something that I missed.
Yeah, well, as we said, Sylvan about making your players, forcing into plays they don't want to play right. So maybe putting Bull Elk there in the face of Black Dragon and Crag Behemoth is now making Laro say, do I attack with the Black Dragon or do I look to use Flame Sweep? What's the most optimal play here? And as soon as you're getting your opponent to start thinking about decisions, you're then asking them, you're then putting doubt in their mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're on the money with that. I really do think that's what Dex is thinking. Like, maybe he drops a Bull Elk this round, but it's going to be forcing Laro into a disadvantaged position. It's going to be making Laro do a bunch of things he doesn't want to do. And there comes the Lightning Bolt 1 for free with an extra spell power from Izbek's staff.
Yeah.
Something I just realized is that I think the players forgot to use Spell Shock from Kaar'thul. Because when Anwyn used her ability with mana, Spell Shock would trigger to deal 1 pure damage.
Oh,
which is on the Deepwood Sentinel. Yep, there you go.
Yep, of course.
They saw it at the same time I did, and we corrected that.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about having such a nice community. Both Laro and Dex have played each other many times. They're good friends. So, yeah, I mean, in tabletop games, you're going to miss these interactions from time to time. It's not a high-level tournament, so it's not a case of, I can't go back and correct it. It's all a case of all friends here and correct it.
It's one of those things where everyone here is a gentleman, and that's part of the reason why I have enjoyed being a part of this community so much, is that we generally have some of the nicest players I have ever met in the tabletop gaming space. Laro and Dex absolutely included. Um, there's a lot of times where I just hang out with those guys, and we don't even play Legacy Allure. We just chat, and we hang out in the server. So if you want to come and hang out with us in the Legacy Allure Discord server, there will be a link in the description, I'm sure.
Oh, there will be a link in that description. Do not worry about that. And we see now again, players taking their time, really trying to think this out now. It's what that extra level draft brings to it, right? Because you have the ability to literally counter draft and draft into more variety. It almost takes that little bit extra level of thinking because you've made those decisions of exactly why to set this card and where to position this card. Whereas in Blitz, you kind of, okay, this card's not great for this, but I just need to deal with it.
Absolutely. And there we go. We are seeing the Black Dragon take that Bull Elk. And that means Black Dragon's not flame sweeping. This could be good for Dex, especially if he has a way to sort of close out this. Oh, with the maneuver, Bull Elk is within range to take out the Troll Doctor. This is what he was looking for.
There we go. Troll Doctor coming up now. And Troll Doctor coming up, I'm assuming now to mean that if he takes Troll Doctor, he's adjacent to the Black Dragon again.
Exactly, and I think that's what Laro's wanting. But honestly, I'd probably just snag that Troll Doctor anyway. I'd just go for it. I think it's value.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely high value. Because the key thing to know about these Troll Doctors, the fact that we only have one Glade Hawk on the board anyway doesn't matter, but they have 3 health. Like, you compare them to the Iron Guard Priests with 1 health, can be swept in with the Glade Hawks and picked off. These guys have 3 health. They're pretty chunky healers. So you can't just throw any unit in to grab them. But a Bull Elk can obviously quite easily just clean them up straight away.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's what Dex is going to be looking to do. And, you know, right now, Dex, he's down on gold, but he's down on gold and he isn't holding the center, but that by no means means that he's out of the game. If he outmaneuvers during these next few rounds and takes out key pieces like both of those healers and Kaar'thul, this game can swing around so quickly.
Yep, indeed.
And down goes another 2 gold unit. And we're seeing, again, the difference in factions, right?
Yeah.
Gath is very aggressive and goes after those high gold value units right away, whereas Sylvan says, I can afford to wait. Let's play the long game. I'm going to take out all of your small units. I'm going to win this on actions in round 7.
Yeah.
And here we go, going into round 2. Kaar'thul coming in with a huge chain lightning, taking out his own unit to complete the chain.
Yeah.
Gath, always brutal. And Kaar'thul especially, enhanced by the power of Skorg, he has lost his humanity and has no problem sacrificing his own units for his warlock arts.
Yep.
A little bit of flavor for you.
Indeed. Now, Bullock's up right there. And Kaar'thul, though.
Yep.
And that is an expensive. Absolutely. That is a very expensive Kaar'thul to be losing. Sat at, just trying to do maths, which is really hard, I should say, 15 gold. It's a 15 gold Kaar'thul just vanished. Gone from the board.
That is as much as his own Crag Behemoth. And this is the exact swing that Dex was looking for with this. This was the play he was going for, right?
Yep.
He sacrificed his 2 Bull Elks, but in exchange, he got rid of basically all of Laro's backline units, all of his supporters, all of his flankers, and his hero in exchange for 2 Bull Elks, 2 Glade Hawks, and a Norfang Great Hunter. I think that's worth it. Yeah,
and again, you mentioned Fall Elemental at the beginning of this fight. Black Dragon can't use Dispel right on Fall Elemental because the spell proof. And if Crag Behemoth attacks Fall Elemental, it takes 6 damage back plus the 4 retaliation. So it's taking 10 damage back, like from 1 attack. So Fall Elemental could be an absolute pivotal card still as this match plays out.
Okay, so just letting everybody know that we had a slight technical hiccup there, so things might be a little bit different as we jump back and forth. as we did have an internet difficulty. So
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
should be back to where it was, and we are continuing the game proper. It is back to Dex's turn, and he is going to be back to Dex's turn in round 2. So the round counter is off by 1, just letting everybody know why things might look a little bit different. But Woody, we're all back and we're all good, and we're enjoying some Legacy Allure, isn't that right?
As always, how else would I rather spend my evening than with you indulging in some Legacy's Law? And we saw then that Dex was going to throw the Gladehawk in to remove that shield, which some people might say, well, is that worth it, throwing a unit in there? As you said, longer the game goes on, the worse Gladehawk gets. And that one shield on Crag Behemoth it's we said this many times, Legacy's Law is a modest game when it comes to hit point or health points and attack points. So one hit point is actually worth a lot, especially on a sizable unit like a Crag Behemoth.
Mm-hmm. And, well, the reason why he's not using his Gladehawk there is that he realized that Crag Behemoth has Steadfast. So Crag Behemoth can't actually be charged.
Yeah, that also helps, by the way, I should say. That also helps.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just a little bit.
So right now that Gladehawk doesn't really have a good target. What I'm looking at is he could use the Gladehawk to deal 1 damage to Troll Doctor and then have Norfane Hunter take the Troll Doctor off the board. So that might be the play he wants to go for right now.
Yep. Yeah. I like the movement of the Deepwood Sentinel to come in. It gives Thorn Elemental range, right? Thorn Elemental only has 1 movement, but having it adjacent to a Deepwood Sentinel, which has allied pathing, gives it a lot more options to extend that range.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. With the Black Dragon and the Crag Behemoth still sticking around, Dex is really going to have to budget his damage output here. Trading off the 2 Bull Elks to take down Kaar'thul and the entire backline, I do think was worth it, but that really has hindered Dex's damage output. So he's going to have to think about how he's going to be taking down these 2 incredibly high health, very powerful units.
Yep. And some units that are going to be really important here are the Crag Behemoth coming off, going on a little sightseeing tour to come off and get rid of that Deepwood Sentinel.
Yep, this is actually really, really good for Dex here. This is an opening. If Thorn Elemental grabs center, there's a strong probability that it can hold it throughout the entire game. Spell Shock is no longer active because Kaar'thul is off the board. And the 2 gentlemen players are showing that the round counter is 2 for us. I do appreciate them setting that up.
Yep.
So I'm thinking Thorn Elemental just moves to center, right? And then Anwyn and Deepwood Mystic can just keep it alive.
Yeah. Well, Thorn Elemental is, like I said, that 1 movement. It has to go to center now, right? If it doesn't go to center, it probably loses the opportunity with the Crag Behemoth going back there. Now, Thorn Elemental is as you said before, it's mainly a defensive card, and sticking it on center is going to be really hard for Laro to try and get rid of it without taking an insane amount of damage because the physical damage return.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that is physical damage return with no damage cap. So if Crag Behemoth punches Thorn Elemental, that is a guaranteed 6 damage. That is half of Craig's health.
And plus the retaliation damage.
Yes, exactly. This could be very scary. This whole game is very scary for everyone involved, if I'm being honest. If I'm Laro, I'm worried about my total amount of actions that I have. If I'm Dex, I'm worried about the damage that I have. And, okay, this is really good for Dex. We're going to take out that healer, which means that any damage Dex applies is going to be stuck on these cards forever. So with Norfane Hunter moving in, it's going to deal 2 damage to that dragon.
However, is Norfane Hunter now not in a position for a Flame Sweep next turn? And that removes 2 Norfane Hunters and a Norfane Great Hunter. And 2 damage from Norfane Great Hunter.
Yes. Oh, and here comes Quicken. With the...
Nice.
Yeah, Quicken to bring the Norfane Great Hunter back up. Okay, this is good. This is very good. Quicken is an ability that lets you give one of your units +1 action.
Yeah.
So with this, the Great Hunter is going to be swinging around and backstabbing that Black Dragon.
And pushing 5 damage, which, as you said, stays on the dragon now. It doesn't disappear because of the because of the removal of the Troll Doctors.
Yep. And Black Dragon going for that flame sweep anyway, just taking those hunters off the board. No prisoners.
Nope.
And now Laro needs to think about where his Black Dragon is going to be moving if he wants to combine. The combinable keyword means that you can use that ability and then move that card after it uses that ability if you want to.
Or vice versa, right? You can move and then use the ability.
You can move and then use the ability if you want to as well. But right now, Laro is going to flame sweep and then get out of there so that that hunter doesn't backstab his dragon again.
So surely now, though, the issue Laro has, now if Dex can find a way of dealing with a Crag Behemoth, now that's a big if, because it's not a good, easy unit to deal with, and Fallen Elemental stays on middle, that's just a win by default, right? Because if Black Dragon attacks Fallen Elemental, it just dies. Oh, it doesn't die, it's got 1 hit point left. It's got 1 hit point left. Now we see it set up now that if it attacks Fallen Elemental, it dies.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, we do.
Oh, he's changing his mind. He's going to take out the Goblin Archer with the Norfane Hunter. I do think that's a generally wise move. And Craig is just moving away from that center. I'm not sure what Laro's game plan is here, because now this Black Dragon is set up for a kill.
Very interesting here. And now we see the...
Yeah.
Now he's... Okay, Deepwood Sentinel coming on here.
Oh my goodness!
No,
with the maneuver and the take, this is massive!
This is absolutely huge, like you said. Like you said. Whoa!
But there's a problem. And the problem is Laro just takes center again.
Yeah, with 13 hit points. I mean, we have 3 rounds, right? There's a lot of healing. 3 rounds. Is there a way? Does Dex have enough in the tank to deal 13 hit points over the next 3 rounds? I think he does.
Don't know.
So he has 2 turns of full elemental because the full healing, right? So that's 8.
Yep.
He has not a turn with the Norfang because the steadfast, right? So Norfang would take a turn to move in and then attack. So he has 1 turn with the Norfang, which would be another 3. That would take it to 11. Oh, we're going to see cracked. Yep. Okay.
Just takes the hunter. I
So
don't know about this one.
I'm assuming
because now
Deepwood maneuvers Fallen Elemental, right? Yeah. And then a Fallen Elemental takes a step closer.
No, Anwyn can't quicken. That's not combinable.
Oh no, it's not, is it?
That's not combinable.
No. So she can't move and quicken.
Exactly. There goes that plan. That's not... You're not able to do that, unfortunately.
No.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
This is tricky for both players. Both players definitely in some trouble here. Thorn Elemental and Craig racing each other to capture that center. Who's going to take it first?
Well, it will be Fallen Elemental, right? Because... Oh, no, it won't be, because...
I think so.
Yeah, no, it should be, because now the 2 movement on the Craig will bring it 1 away. And then Fallen Elemental will now come into to send the Hex. And now it's just a case of keeping them alive, right? But...
I think so.
But does Craig now... Does it clear Anwyn first? And clear the healing first to then do the damage to Fallen Elemental?
Yes, but... Oh, gee. This... I don't know who's... Oh, man. This is really tough, but it's round 6. So if Craig goes for Anwyn... Oh, no. This is tough. Thorn Elemental just taking 6 damage from Craig Behemoth. Craig...
10 damage!
Back. And that means Thorn Elemental can just take and win, right?
It should do, right? Because there you go.
Oh,
there we go. The quicken on here. And...
Combine.
Yeah, takes
and
it there.
Deepwood Sentinel
wow.
for the last 2. Well played by Dex. That
Wow.
rollout gambit right at the beginning really paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, we said at the very beginning, we never wrote Dex off. We never said, but we did say it was a big uphill task. And
It
if
was.
that doesn't show you the skill ceiling of Sylvan, of the tricky nature of maneuvering then, how to manipulate your enemy, as we said at the beginning, putting the bullock up there, it instantly put Laro in that position with, well, I want to flame sweep my Black Dragon, but I feel like attacking's the right thing to do. And
Absolutely.
straight on the back foot, straight in that uncomfortable position. And I mean, massive respect to both players, but Dex
They
for
did
coming out
great.
on top. What a game!
Yeah, they did absolutely great. It's like watching a chess game where you see the grandmaster sacrifice his queen in the first few moves, and then you don't see any like value gain afterwards for a while, and you're like, wait, why did he do that? It's because Dex was setting up to capture Laro's most important pieces and get into that situation where you could checkmate right at the end, and he pulled it off. He pulled
Yeah.
it off beautifully.
Indeed. What a game. I mean, what a week of Legacy Allure it's been. We had a cracking game of a Blitz Brawl a couple of days ago with these guys, and now we've had a cracking game of draft as well with these guys as well. So absolute massive respect and a massive thank you to Laro and to Dex for stopping by and giving up their time to play the game and showcase such wonderful Legacy's lore. A massive thank you to yourself, Mr. Robo, for being here. Fantastic analysis as always. So big thank you to yourself.
Same to you.
I'm here just for numbers, you know. And a massive thank you to you guys for stopping by, watching, and hopefully enjoying it. If you feel like, do you know what, this game looks legit, not only are you correct, yes, the game is legit, but also you can try it yourself. Get down in the link in the description. Head over to the Discord. It's a lovely community. Just put in the LFG channel that you're looking to play your first game. Someone will take you for a 50 gold blitz game, and you won't stop there. That is it. You'll be hooked. You'll be in. Next thing you know is you'll be taking on Dex on Draft Duel, weekly Draft Duel, to maybe be the best Sylvan player in the market. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, the title's up for grabs. Actually, we'll see.
Indeed.
And thank you again to yourself, Woody, for being an awesome host. And we'll see you all next time.
Indeed. Have a cracking one, guys. And until then, goodbye.